Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Marilyn Darling Show, and welcome to another episode of Calligraphy for Beginners. Gonna share this with our patrons so they can come and hang out with us too. Okay, here we go. So, how is everyone doing today? Are you having a nice day? I hope you're having a nice day wherever you are in the world. Today we're going to be talking about the capital letters. We're still using our pencil. I hope that you guys took a couple of minutes and practiced what we learned yesterday. We have learned a lot in the last 2 days. So today's going to be another full-on day. We may go over an hour, we may not. But we're going to try and do our best, right? Okay, so. Alright, we're going to grab some paper. Put this back in the middle. I just realized something. I think I put this paper on the wrong side. I did. I put it on the wrong side. No wonder. Oh no, it's not this either. I see. It is the same. It's just off a little bit. That's weird. Hi, Obs. How are you doing today? Are you having a nice day? I'm trying to get my paper to be cooperative, but it's a little off. Okay. So, I am using wide rule, CVS caliber, filler paper. I find that this is perfect because I can see the lines through it. And if you were to use a booklet, you could just stick your guide sheet behind your paper. I'm doing very well today. Okay, so today we're looking at capitals. We have learned a little bit about, we're gonna finish the minuscules. Then we're gonna do the capitals. And then we're gonna talk about pressures and lightness. Oh, good. I'm so glad that you're excited. Okay, so yesterday, I think that we ended on I. I think we ended on I. I gotta find my paper. My last class, I only did one-sided paper. And so, Alexa, stop. I didn't have a Okay, yes, we ended on I. Okay. So we're gonna finish the minuscule alphabet, and then we're gonna do some uppercase letters, and then we're gonna talk about pressures and lightness. Okay, so let's start by marking off our X height. Now, a J is an upstroke plus a descending stem loop plus an upstroke plus a tittle. And it looks like this. Upstroke, descending stem loop, upstroke, tittle. Okie dokie. So, upstroke, descending stem loop, upstroke, tittle, upstroke, descending stem loop, upstroke, tittle. Yeah, try and keep your descending stem loops the same every time. I'm kind of mucking them up for purpose sakes, just to show. So this one and this one are good, but this one is too thin, it didn't go all the way over, and this one is also too thin, it didn't go all the way over. So you want to make sure and keep your descending stem loops the same every time you do them. Upstroke, descending stem loop, upstroke, tittle. Tittle. Alright, then the K stroke we talked about. Let's drop 3 down because we're going to need the space up here. The K stroke is an upstroke plus an ascending stem loop plus a K stroke into an upstroke. Actually, we should probably break this up into 2 strokes, huh? Plus an upstroke. And it looks something like this. Upstroke, ascending stem loop, K loop, underturn. It's one of the most complicated letters in the whole alphabet. Upstroke, ascending stem loop, K loop, underturn. Upstroke, K, ascending stem loop, K loop, underturn. Now remember that there is an invisible line that goes right down the middle of that space there, so that is where your K loop needs to be. So upstroke, ascending stem loop, K loop, modified underturn. Yeah, it's pretty difficult. It takes like 5 whole steps to make this, instead of just like 1, 2, or 3. Upstroke, ascending stem loop, a K loop, and then out, down, and up. Okay, if you've mastered that one, let's drop 2 down. This is the L, and the L is pretty simple. It's basically 2 different strokes. Upstroke, an ascending stem loop, into an upstroke. So it's an upstroke plus an ascending stem loop plus an underturn. So it's an upstroke, an ascending stem loop into an underturn. That's hard, but fun. That's good. Alright. Upstroke, ascending stem loop, underturn. Upstroke, ascending stem loop, underturn. Now you see how I made this one way over here? You don't want to make it too far over, but you want to make it just on the other side of where that stem loop comes out. So you're going to do an upstroke, an ascending stem loop, keeping it just on the inside of that, and then ending just on the outside of where that stem loop comes. Because that will be into your next letter, and you want to make sure that there's like a triangle in here, so that way you have space to move into another, say an oval or a whatever your next letter may be. Okay, let's move 2 down. The M is pretty simple. It's only 2 shapes, 2 basic strokes. It's the overturn plus an overturn plus an compound curve. Okay, and that looks like this: an overturn, overturn, and a compound curve. Pretty simple, right? Overturn, overturn, compound curve. Overturn, overturn, compound curve. Make sure that each of the spaces in here are about the same width apart. Okie dokie. The next one is an N, and it is also only 2 shapes. It is an overturn plus a compound curve. Compound curve. And that looks like this: overturn, compound curve. Overturn, compound curve. Overturn, compound curve. And again, make sure that the space in between each of these strokes is about the same. And over time, you will get used to making the same size shape every time. Okie dokie. Same space apart, hand but fun. Yes, hard, yes. Alright. The next one we're going to do an oval. This uses an upstroke plus an oval plus a connecting stroke. Some might even call this a comma dot, because sometimes you'll use a little comma on the inside and come out and connect into another letter. And when you're connecting to each the letters will depend on how far this little connection will go. So that looks like this. An upstroke, because it's going into an oval, we only go halfway, and then we make an oval, hide that little join, and then from the inside of this we do a little tiny loop and come out. So we go upstroke, oval, and then we finish off the loop and come out into your next letter. Okay, so upstroke, oval, start from the inside and loop out and go all the way up to the baseline, to the x height, sorry. Upstroke, oval, loop and out. My nose is being not nice right now. It's like telling me I need to sneeze, but it's not letting me. Excuse me for just 1 second. Okay, that's better. Now then. Alright, let's drop 2 down. The second version of the O is an upstroke plus modified oval and out. And that looks like this. Up, down, around, through, and out. Shoot. Sorry about that. So we have an upstroke, stop, come down, up, over, around, through, and out. Up, down, up, over, around, through, and out. Up, down, up, around, over, through, and out. Up, down, around, over, through, and out. Okay. All right. The next thing that we're going to do is the P. So let's drop 2 down. And that looks like an upstroke plus a hard downstroke plus a reverse oval. Remember this one? Yeah. And that looks like this. Upstroke. Like that. You can also do an upstroke with a descending stem loop and a reverse oval. Or you can do an upstroke, a descending stem loop, and a normal oval, and an upstroke. But you see right here how there's this little differentiation. You're going to try and hide that on the opposite side. So you're going to do upstroke, descending stem loop, and then start on the opposite side and go reverse oval and then an upstroke. So upstroke. This is my favorite and easiest one. Or this one. Okay. Alright, let's do the Q. Let's drop 2 down. We'll do the Q. The Q is an upstroke. Remember, because it's going into an oval, we're only going halfway up. Plus an oval plus a reverse descending stem loop plus an upstroke. And that looks like this. Upstroke, oval, descending stem loop, upstroke. And you want to hide the join better here than I did, so upstroke, oval, descending stem loop, upstroke. Upstroke, oval, descending stem loop, upstroke. Upstroke, oval, descending stem loop, upstroke. Cool? Alright. R. So let's drop 3 down. Mark off our X height. The R is another very complicated one. So, grain of salt. Remember that there is an invisible line right here. This is our baseline, first quarter, X height, first ascender, second ascender. So we're going to go from the baseline, we're going to come up to the X height, plus the R stroke, plus an underturn. And that looks like this. Upstroke, R stroke, underturn. Okay. So, up, just above, R, underturn. Upstroke, up, R, underturn. Upstroke, R stroke, underturn. Okay. Our S, let's drop 2 down. We're going to come, it's going to be an upstroke plus the S stroke plus an upstroke. And that looks like this. Upstroke, S stroke, upstroke. Upstroke, S stroke, upstroke. Upstroke, S stroke, upstroke. Upstroke, S stroke, upstroke. The ideal way to make an S is to, when you're coming down, to make this into a tittle. Most people will tell you that you have to go through it and make the tittle on the back side of the back, but it just looks like someone's bowing. It looks like one of those Frenchmen who are bowing when they're being served at a table with their hand behind their back. They're tipping their head, you know. Whatever you're into. It doesn't really matter if you want to do that. I just do the most simplest way possible. Cool? Okay. I think it's time for a new piece of paper. What do you say? Let's grab a new piece of paper, or turn the page, or however you're doing it. Move your guide sheets over. Okay, so we're going to do the T. Let's drop 2 down, mark off our X height. The T is an upstroke plus an underturn, and that is a giant underturn. Plus across. And that looks like this. Upstroke, giant underturn, cross. Hi Amy, how are you doing today? Are you having a nice day? That's okay. Alright, so we're going to do an upstroke, big underturn, and a cross. Most people will tell you that you don't go all the way up to the top. So as we said, that there's this invisible line here. This would be the first ascender. So what you're going to do is you're going to come between the first ascender and the second ascender, and you're going to start right there, and you're going to start your underturn. And then when you cross your T, you're going to cross between the X height and the first ascender, like this. Because if you do an I, it will be above it. Oh, I'm so glad that you think this is the highlight. Alright, so upstroke, underturn, cross, upstroke, underturn, cross. Some people cross it way up at the top, like this. Some people cross it right at the X height. It just depends on what kind of words you want to make. Alright, let's drop 2 down. U. A U is an upstroke plus an underturn plus an underturn. And that looks like this. Upstroke, underturn, underturn. It looks like a W, but that's not a W. Depending on what your next letter will be, that will depend on how high that letter goes. That stroke goes. So, upstroke, underturn, underturn. I usually stop mine just a little short to make sure that people know if this is your last letter of your word, then this will only go up a little bit because you don't want it to look like a W at the end of your word. So, upstroke, underturn, underturn. Upstroke, underturn, underturn. Upstroke, underturn, underturn. Okay. The next one, I'm going to go out of order, and I'm going to go out of order on purpose. The next one that we're going to do is a W. A W is an upstroke plus an underturn plus an underturn plus a connective underturn. Okay, does that make sense? So, and that will look like this. Upstroke, underturn, underturn, underturn. Okay, upstroke, underturn, underturn, underturn. Or connecting stroke. Upstroke, underturn, underturn, connecting stroke. Now this connecting stroke, depending on what letter you're going into, will depend on how high it goes. If you are going into an A, you'll go upstroke, underturn, underturn, and then maybe only a half of an underturn. If it's going into an A or a G or anything with an oval. Okay? Alright, let's drop 2 down. We're going to do a V now. A V is a compound curve plus a connecting stroke. And that will look like this. Compound curve and a connecting stroke. So, compound curve, making sure that the lines in the middle look all the same, into a connecting stroke. The same will go for this letter for the connecting stroke. If you're going into an A, for example, your connecting stroke will be ever so slightly shorter. Okay? Compound curve, connecting stroke. Compound curve, connecting stroke. It is important that you make sure that you have the connecting stroke, especially if this, both on the W and the V, if this is the end of the word. Because otherwise it looks just like a random I at the end of your word. Or an N. Okay? Alright, let's move down to X is the next letter, and we talked about the X stroke. The X stroke is pretty simple. We're going to go up on the 55. We're going to curve around. We're going to cross a line. And we're going to come back up the 55. So I'm making an elongated compound curve. And then we're going to cross it with a wavy line. So it's going to be plus one of those. And that will look like this. You want to make sure that both of these inners are wavy, because you want it to kind of look like a bowl shape. The original X looked like this. What does that look like? It looks like an hourglass. So that is what you want to kind of mimic your letters on. You want to make it look as much like an hourglass as you can. Okay? And with a little bit of practice, you'll figure it out. Even if you just go doot, 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 and cross it a little bit wavy, then it looks much like an X. So, the softer these curves are, and the closer that you can get them together, the better. Alright, let's drop 2 down. We're going to look at a Y. The Y is a compound curve plus a descending stem loop plus an upstroke. And that looks like this. Okay, and you want to make sure and pick up your pen right before you get to that stem and then replace it at the baseline and then continue your stroke. You don't want to do this. Why? I will show you why later when we get into ink. So you want to make sure to do your compound curve, make sure that these lines are far enough away from each other, and then continue into your descending stem loop, lift, and then continue your upstroke. So, compound curve, descending stem loop, upstroke. Now there is something very funny that goes on with the Y. You really don't want this area here to be too busy. So what you're going to do is you're going to come up, you're going to do your compound curve, but when you get to the bottom of that upstroke, you're going to come up at a slight amount of an angle. You're going to have just the tiniest little bit. You're going to have just the tiniest bit of angle that is obtuse to that line. And there's going to be this little tiny triangle right in here. You want to leave just the tiniest little triangle in there. So that way, when you do your descending stem loop, that it doesn't look all connected in one blobby mess. Okay. So, let's do the last letter of the minuscule alphabet. We're going to do the Z, and the Z stroke is the modified overturn plus a descending, the modified descending stem loop. Kind of looks like a fish going down. So we're going to do an overturn, and then we're going to stop and come right back into it. Into an upstroke. Okay. So, modified overturn. We're going to stop, lift, modified descending stem loop into an upstroke. Modified overturn, descending stem loop, 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 upstroke. That way, if you continue to do the upstroke, you'll be able to figure out which letter this goes into, or if this is your last letter, then you still want to come up about 1/4 of the way. Posh, huh? That's very posh Z. Alright, I think that we have deserved a little break. We've gone for 38 minutes, can't believe it. Let's do our little stretches and stretch out our hands real good. Give yourself a little stretch. Alright. We have learned so much in 38 minutes. I feel like it's taken us forever to get to this point. But once you guys figure out how these things are put together, then you can start putting them in words and making sentences and stuff. So let's drop 3 down. We're going to write out the alphabet. And we're going to do each letter all by itself. So, an A is a 1/4 upstroke, an oval, and an underturn. A B is an upstroke, an ascending stem loop, upstroke with a connecting letter. A C is an upstroke, but because it's going into an oval shape, we're going to stop halfway up, and we're going to use a spiral out for the C. Always try and come up to the X height, so that way you can go into your next letter if need be. So, D is a upstroke because it's going into an oval, and then a ascending stem loop into an upstroke. E is an upstroke, an E stroke into a spiral. F is an upstroke, ascending stem loop into a reverse descending stem loop into an upstroke. G is an upstroke, an oval, descending stem loop, upstroke. H is an upstroke, ascending stem loop, compound curve. Okay. I'm gonna just do this so that way we can see the whole picture. How's that? No need to see my face. Alright, let's drop 3 down. I is an upstroke, an underturn, and a tittle. J is an upstroke, a descending stem loop, an upstroke, and a tittle. K is an upstroke, ascending stem loop, a K loop, and an unmodified underturn. L is an upstroke, an ascending stem loop into an underturn. An M is an overturn, a compound curve. An N is an overturn, an overturn and a compound curve. An O is an upstroke, an oval, and a connecting stroke, or an upstroke, oval, and spiral out. Let's drop 3 down, mark off our X height. P is an upstroke, descending stem loop, P stroke, or reverse oval, or a upstroke, a hard downstroke, and a reverse oval with an upstroke. Q is an upstroke, an oval, reverse descending stem loop, and an upstroke. An R stroke is an upstroke, R stroke into an underturn. An S is an upstroke, an S curve into an upstroke. T is a upstroke, a giant underturn with a cross. U is an upstroke, an underturn, and an underturn. V is a compound curve and a connecting stroke. W is an upstroke with an underturn, and a connecting stroke. Alright, let's get a new piece of paper. Oh my god, that title is a real word. So bad. It is. Tittle is a real word. That is its title. Tittle. You have to tittle your I's and cross your T's and tittle your J's. Okay, where are we? W, X. So let's mark our X height. X. Cross your X. And then our Y is a compound curve, a descending stem loop, and an upstroke. And then a Z is a modified overturn and a modified descending stem loop into an upstroke. Yay, we created the whole alphabet. Yay, give yourself a round of applause. Woo, you did it. I'm so proud of you all. All right. Are we ready for more? We have 15 minutes before the hour is up. Unless you want to separate these out, I could come back later and we could do some more. I would like to do the capital alphabets today, and I would like to talk about pressure, because lightness and pressure is what is going to create the real look of calligraphy. And if you've been using a pencil, then this should become very useful to you, very useful. So I'm not going to do a whole bunch of capitals, variations on capitals, because I want people to get just the main basics of copperplate-esque style, modern-esque calligraphy. Basic modern calligraphy. Okay, let's do the capital A then. The capital A is this here is called the universal line of beauty. It's a straight line with a little wiggle at the top and a little wiggle at the bottom. And I don't mean like that is an S. So we're not making S's today. We're making the universal line of beauty. The universal line of beauty is a little tiny wiggle from the top and a little tiny wiggle from the bottom. And it shouldn't even touch halfway into the next space. So, universal line of beauty. And then you're going to go from that universal line of beauty straight down. And then you're going to cross it in the middle. You just made an A. Isn't that great? Super duper simple. Okay, we're going to make another universal line of beauty. B is a little harder. We're going to start at the first ascender. We're going to come down to the X height. We're going to loop around, and we're going to come right back to the X height. So we're going to start in the middle. We're going to come down, loop around, and come right back to the X height. And then we're going to make another bubble. And that's our B. Super simple, right? If you've done this before, then you know what we're talking about. C is the same as the minuscule, only bigger. So we're going to start at the first ascender. We're going to come down to the X height. We're going to come up to the second ascender. We're going to go all the way down to the baseline and curve out. So it's a giant spiral. So it should go 1, 2, 3 spaces. D, we're going to make a universal line of beauty. And we're going to, just like the B, instead of coming to the middle, we're going to go all the way down to the bottom. So we're going to start in the middle, we're going to come down, go all the way back up, come all the way back down, and then we're going to make kind of a compound curve here at the end. And right at the base of that universal line of beauty, we're going to connect it. E is the opposite of a B. We're going to spiral out, and then we're going to spiral in. So it looks like a double spiral. We're going to spiral out, and then we're going to spiral in. F is a universal line of beauty. And we're going to give him kind of like a hat. And then we're going to cross it in the middle. And that's our F. Let's drop 3 down. G is rather complicated. At the first ascender, we're going to go over 2 spaces. We're going to make a horizontal oval. So, you know how when we made the ovals, they went like this. That's called a vertical oval. This one, we're going to make a horizontal oval like this. So we're going to go from the first ascender. We're going to go up to the second ascender, curve around, meet that oval right back where it started, and then we're going to take that oval and we're going to go all the way up to the second ascender. We're going to curve down all the way to the baseline. We're going to come up right along that same plane, and then we're going to make a descending stem loop into an upstroke. So we're basically making a pretzel, an underturn, and a descending stem loop. So okay. You can make the loop as big as you need to make it. You don't have to make it small. You can make it as big as you want. The H is, so here is our first ascending stem line. We're going to make the tiniest compound curve you can possibly make. We're going to start at that first ascender. We're going to come up to the second ascender, curve back down to the first ascender, then go back up to the second ascender. Then we're going to make a descending stem loop. We're going to cross that descending stem loop, and we're going to make an ascending stem loop into an upstroke. So the whole thing should look like that. Okay. The I is a very tricky thing. Some people will tell you to start from the X height. I'm going to tell you to start from the first ascender, because here is our line that we're going to follow. We're going to start behind the I. We're going to start the first ascender. We're going to come down to the X height. We're going to cross around and go back up to the second ascender. And then we're going to follow a straight line and make a universal line of beauty down to the baseline. So the whole thing should look like this. Okay? Super easy, right? With a little technique and a little bit of patience, you can make really pretty letters just by a couple of easy moves. Even when you do your H's, you could even do like a little spiral into a leg, and then you could universal line of beauty into a leg, and then do one of these little bits. Kind of make a little fish. So there's a whole bunch of different ways to make letters. Alright, let's drop 3 down. Mark off our X height. J is the same as the I, except bigger. So we're going to start at this is the baseline, first quarter, X height, first ascender, second ascender, first descender, second descender. We're going to start at the first descender. First the quarter height. We'll start behind the letter, down to the baseline, around all the way up to the second ascender, all the way down to the second descender, into a descending stem loop, and there's your J. When you do it, it's not really that complicated. Just down, all the way up, all the way down, and a loop. And then this little bit will become your next letter. K starts out like an H, little tiny wiggle into a universal line of beauty. You're going to start at the first ascender, come up to the second ascender, down to the X height, and then out and into an underturn, just like the bottom of the K, only bigger. So the whole thing should look like this. Okay. The L is a very strange letter. How do I describe it? So you start at the first ascender, spiral down to the X height, up to the second ascender, loop, down to the baseline, go behind the L, loop up, back down to the baseline, and up to the quarter height. It's a very difficult letter. Not a lot of people get it, but it's kind of a simple, beautiful letter. Okay, let's drop a couple of lines down. M is a reverse universal line of beauty into a straight line, into a reverse universal line of beauty, into an underturn. So this is a universal line of beauty, this is a straight line, this is a universal line of beauty, and this is a straight line into an underturn. The other way to make an M is you're going to start in the middle, in the first ascender, down to the X height, up to the second, down to the baseline, overturn, compound curve. Same with the N. We're going to make a loop into a leg, into a compound curve. O is simple. Simplest letter in the alphabet. An oval with a loop. Alright, let's drop 3 down. P is a universal line of beauty with the first bump of a B. Really simple. Super simple. Q is kind of like a B, only we're going to go all the way to the baseline instead. And we're going to make a giant number 2, and we're going to come out like the L. R is a universal line of beauty. And like the P, we're going to make a P. And then we're going to make the bottom leg of the K. And we made an R. everything is starting to fall together. The S is the most complicated letter in the whole thing, I think, because it's just one big wiggly line. That's an S. So this is your parallelogram. You're going to start from this corner, come up, hit this corner, make a loop, come back down, hit this wall, and spiral in. Like that. Okay. T, let's drop 2 down. T is, you guessed it, a universal line of beauty. And just like we did with the F, we're going to do a reverse oval into a hat. Reverse oval into a hat. And that's a T. U is a giant, it kind of has a reverse oval with a giant U attached to it. Reverse oval and a giant U. And then just a straight, hard downstroke. So the whole thing looks like that. A V is kind of like we did with the K and the H. We're going to do a little wiggle. So we're going to do a little wiggle. And then we're going to do a universal line of beauty down. We're going to come up from this universal line of beauty to the second space over, and we're going to follow that in a reverse universal line of beauty into kind of a little teapot, kind of like a little spout. That's how it should look. Like that. And the V is the same, and the W is the same way. Little wiggle, universal line of beauty, all the way up, universal line of beauty, and then a little T-spout. Really nice, right? X. We're going to do a reverse we're going to do a leg like this. So drop 2 down, mark off your X height. In the middle of the first ascender, just do a little spiral. And then on the opposite side, we're going to spiral in on the opposite side. So we spiraled out and then we spiral in. So spiral out, spiral in. The Y is a U and a descending stem loop. So we're going to do a Y like this with a descending stem loop and an upstroke. And a Z is kind of like the first leg of the X. We'll spiral out. And then we're going to use the same as the minuscule Z. This little bit right here, only bigger. Make a little fish, and then into an upstroke. So, giant 2 into an upstroke. That's 2 different ways to do it. And we've completed the majuscule alphabet. Wow. We have learned a lot today. So many things. I think... what do you think? Are you ready to write? Are we ready to write words now? Can we write words now, please? Okay, fine. Let's write some words. You guys did such a good job. Give yourself a round of applause. So now that we've learned all of these really hard things, that's not an empty piece of paper, we're gonna write words. Whole words, I know. Isn't that exciting? Let's start. Alexa, stop. Let's start with the word the.
I missed something.
Alexa, stop. Let's mark off. Let's drop 2 down. Mark off our X height. We're gonna write the word the, but we're gonna use we're gonna use capitals. We're gonna go universal line of beauty. And we're going to give it a hat. Can you all see what we're doing? Alright, so then we're going to skip one little tiny space. We're going to do an upstroke. We're going to do an H. Ascending stem loop. Compound curve. The next letter is we're going to do an E, spiral out, and then we're going to do a space, little space, maybe 2 spaces, and we're going to start a Q. So we're going to go down, up, spiral out, and then we're going to loop just like the L, and this will be our upstroke. So we're going to go into an underturn, into an underturn, and then this will be our upstroke to our I. So all we have to do is do an underturn, and then tittle that I, and then this will be the upstroke for our C, and we're going to do a spiral out. And then this will be the upstroke into our K. Can anybody see what's happening here? Do ascending stem loop, into a K loop, into a modified upstroke. A space should be 1 space of a guideline. So like a space from here to here would be 1 space, from here to here would be 2 spaces. When you're doing capital letters, they should take up at least 3 spaces. So you want to count where the bottom of the line of the first space that you're using. So the line starts here. This would be 1. This would be 2, this would be 3. So if you start on the next space, this would be where you start your next letter. And your letter can go as far over into this space as it wants to, but it should be at least 3 spaces from where it starts in its succession. Alright, let's drop 2 down. We're going to do a capital B, universal line of beauty, a reverse oval, a reverse oval. R is a upstroke, R stroke, underturn. O is a oval with a underturn or a connecting stroke. W is a underturn to an underturn with a connecting stroke. Now because we're going into an N, we're going to make this overturn into a compound curve. Now some people will tell you that a connecting stroke should only equal one space, and they are correct. So if you ever run into this situation where you have an underturn, you can always make a hard downstroke where the beginning of that letter should be, instead of going from an underturn to an overturn. So a hard downstroke into a compound curve. Now you see how that looks kind of better? Because the compound curve takes up 2 spaces. This one takes up 2 spaces, 2 spaces, 2.5 spaces. It really just depends on how the word looks. If you want it to be really large and running on, that's fine too. It really depends on which letter or shape you're going into. Fox. Let's see. We're going to do a compound. Universal line of beauty. We're going to give him a hat. And then we're going to cross it in the middle. 1 space. Upstroke. Oval. Now, because I'm going into an X, you're going to take that letter, and instead of making it very low, you're going to make it very high. Make it very high, and come up, down, and up. And you're going to cross it kind of weird. So it looks kind of like a bent sad glass. What do they call it? Sand glass? Timer? Can't think of the word. You know what I mean. Alright, let's drop 2 down. Jumps would be behind the J, down, up, down, up. Underturn, overturn, overturn. Descending stem loop, reverse oval, upstroke, S stroke, upstroke. Oops, I just put junts. Nope. This is why we're using pencil, folks. Overturn, compound curve, descending stem loop, reverse oval, upstroke, S stroke, upstroke. Oh, hourglass, thank you. Hourglass. That's the word I was thinking of. Brain go. Over would be starting with an O. A V is compound curve. Because I'm going into an E, I'm going to use that to come down and start my E into my spiral. R stroke, underturn. See, there's all kinds of different little micro rules that you have to remember when connecting different letters to each other. The X rule, the W rule, there's all kinds of different rules. But if you stick to the basic strokes, most of the letters will come together. Okay, let's drop 4 down. T would be universal line of beauty. And we'll give it a hat. H, ascending stem loop, compound curve, E stroke. L would be like this. A would be an oval underturn into a modified overturn into a modified descending stem loop into an overturn or into a compound curve into a descending stem loop into an upstroke. Lazy is kind of like one of those words that doesn't really look right if you do it properly. So what I tend to do is I tend to turn this into kind of a non-upstroke. Sorry for the shaking. So when you're doing a Z to a Y, instead of stopping and going into your overstroke, I would just do an upstroke and then right into your underturn, descending stem loop, and upstroke. Because that's just how the letter looks better. You can do a U into a descending stem loop. Yeah, remembering is hard. That's why we have the videos to look back on. Alright, and then dog would be a universal line of beauty, a giant spiraling D, an oval, connecting letter, oval, descending stem loop, upstroke. Alright, we have learned a lot today. Goodness. Is everybody kind of there? Is everybody confused? Yeah, me too. So, we're all on the same page. Sometimes you have to manipulate the letters in order to make them look good. And that is what calligraphy is all about. It's manipulating the letters so that they look pretty. Not so that they're accurate. It's because if we were to write some of the words the way that they're supposed to be written, the words would look very strange. The word over, for example, would look like and there'd be this little thing here. Or the word lazy, for example. We just saw how crazy lazy looked. A Z Y. It just doesn't work. The word looks wonky because of this entry stroke. And same thing with brown. Brown, if we were to write that, would be universal line of beauty, reverse oval, R O W N. It looks wonky because of this hair connection. So you want to try and manipulate them so that way the connections look more smoothly. Okay, the next thing that I want to talk about, I guess today's will be a 2-hour. I hope that's okay. The next thing that I want to talk about is pressure. How many of you all are using pencil? So everybody should be using a pencil. At this point, we haven't gotten to pen or ink yet. So if you have a normal lead pencil or some sort of crayon, something that's going to be malleable enough so that way you can have a good idea of what I'm talking about. Okay, let's turn the page, flip the page, get a new page, whatever. When I said that we were going to go through a lot of paper, I meant it. And this is mainly to keep everything spread out so that way you don't have to keep flipping back and forth on pages like I do. Okay, so when I talk about pressure, I mean that every time that you go in the upward direction, I want you to use a light pressure. Okay, a light pressure means that when you're going in the upward direction, I want you to take your pencil, put it in your hand, and hold it so that way that you can take your thumb off of your pencil. Okay? However big your pencil is, you should be able to take your thumb off of your pencil. Okay? Holding it with just 2 fingers. Okay? I want you to hold it in your hand so that it barely even touches the paper. When you make your upwash strokes, you should make them so light that just the tip of the lead is touching the paper. Okay? I am not even holding on to my pencil properly. So you want to just barely drag your pencil in the upward direction. Okay, so now that you have the idea in your head, I want you to just take and use the pencil's gravity to make your strokes in the upward going direction. Okay? This is the secret of the upstroke. To make them as fine as hairline possible. The finest hairline you can possibly make. That is called a hairline stroke. Every time you go up on a letter, you should be writing as fine as possible so that you're barely holding on to your pen or pencil. Okay? The next stroke is the downstroke. Anytime you go down, I want you to press hard. Just hard enough so that you're not breaking your lead. Now, this is just going to be for example. I want you to pop out your lead once, twice. Now, I want you to do a little test to press right there. That's how hard you should be pressing. Okay? So, pop out your lead just once. Press as hard as you can without breaking your lead. Okay? And we're going to come from the top of the line all the way to the baseline. Top of the line to the baseline. Okay? Unless you're using a sharpened pencil, like it with a sharpener, a wooden pencil, then that probably won't be able to break the pencil very easily. But it is possible. So, now that we have this new information, we're going to redo our practice strokes. So what's going to happen is we're going to do our upstrokes real light. We're going to do our upstroke like this. And then we're going to do a hard downstroke like this. And you can see that they're two different shades of color. Two totally different shades of color, right? So when you're doing let's do the next one, which is the overturn. We're going to go up light. We're going to curve around, and we're going to start pressing. And we're going to press as hard as we can without breaking our lead all the way down to the baseline. Okay? The next one is our underturn. We're going to go down hard. We're going to start hard. And right about there, we're going to lighten up. And we're going to take our pencil and go lightly all the way up to the X height. Sorry, mark off your X height. The compound curve is a little more complicated. You're going to go up light, hard down, up light. So we're going to go up light, around, hard down, lighten up light. This is where it gets really complicated. Okay, we're going to do an ascending stem loop. We're going to start at the X height and go up light, curve around, and then press all the way down to the baseline. Okay, same thing with the descending stem loop. We're going to press all the way down, and then right about there we're going to let up, and we're going to go as light as possible back up to the baseline. The oval, we're going to start on the side. We're going to go up light, over, down hard, up light. All right, right about from there to there, you should have a full pressure spot. And in between here, it's waning from light to hard, and then from hard to light. So it's very intricate. Okay. Let's see. What are we doing? Now that we have this kind of thing, we can look at other words. We can look at other letters. The A, for example, let's drop 2 down, mark off our X height. The A, for example, will be a light upstroke, an oval up light, down hard, up light, and then down and light. Okay, so up light, up, down, up, down, up. You'll notice that when you push When you go down, you press, and when you go up, you kind of just let it drag along the page. Same thing with B. We're going to go up light, over, down hard, light, up. And then a little pressure, and then let up. Now we're cooking with bacon, huh? Is this making sense? Is everybody on the same page? So the C is an upstroke, light, up, and then a spiral, up, light, little pressure, light, up. D would be a light up, light oval, up, down, pressure, up, ascending stem loop, up, press, let up, and up. E, up, light up, hard down, light up. F, upstroke, light up, hard down, light up, upstroke. And you can definitely see where the upstrokes are and where the downstrokes are. So anytime you go up in the upward direction, you're going to have the lightest possible touch. And in the downwards direction, you're going to put a little bit of pressure. G, let's drop 2 down. G is an upstroke, light up, into an oval, a little bit of pressure, light up, and then pressure, light up, and then an upstroke. You can barely even see those lines, but they are there. That's why they call them hairlines, because they look as thin as a hair. H is an upstroke, light up, hard down, light up, hard down, light up. I is a light up, hard down, light up, and a tittle. J, light up, hard down, round, light up, and tittle. K is a light up, a hard down, a light up, a little bit of pressure, let up, and then a little bit of pressure, let up. Super delicate, right? It's very delicate. Once we get into the flex nibs, tomorrow we're going to be looking at flex nibs. So if you don't have one already, I would highly encourage you to purchase a Fountain Pen Revolution Himalaya with an Ultra Flex nib. It's probably the best option on the market at this moment. Or if you already have a number 6 size pen that you think will keep up with the feed, you can get a number 6 size Fountain Pen Revolution Ultra Flex nib. Alright, so L, light up, hard down, light up. Oh, up. M would be up, light, hard down, up, light, hard down, light up, hard down, light up. And make sure that these spaces are evened out. Okay, let's drop 2 down. And N is like the M, only up, light, hard down, up, light, hard down, light, up. My letters are a little wonky, but that's okay. And there's nowhere that it says that you can't go back and refix your writing. So like right here, my G, this G kind of looks a little shaggly, so I might just come in with my pencil and just give it just the tiniest little bit of definition. O, light up, hard down, light up, little pressure, light up. P, up, hard down, light up, hard down, light up, light up. Q, light up, up, pressure, light, light. R, up, light, hard down, light up. S, light up, hard down, light up. T is a light up, hard down, light up, and hard cross. This is one of the only places that you will hard cross two lines. One of the rules in calligraphy is that you don't put two hard cross lines next to each other or over each other. So when you're doing things like this is not a thing. So you go down hard, light up, hard down, light up, hard down. So you can never cross two hard lines across each other. U, light up, hard down, light up, hard down, light up. V is light up, hard down, light up, hard down, light up. We're almost done. Mark off your X height, W, light up, hard down, light up, hard down, light up, hard down, light up. X, light up, hard down, light up. Or hard down, light up, and then light up. I never explained this X, but if you want to make this X, I just make a Z stroke, and then I make a C stroke. And then Y is light up, hard down, light up, hard down, light up, light up. Now, something weird happens in here, so you want to make sure and go light up, hard down, light up, and then wait till you press real hard till you get to right about there. Do just a little blob, and then light up. Right between here and here. Because otherwise you're going to have like a big ol' hard stroke. And that doesn't look very good. Okay, and last but not least we have Z. So we have the modified overturn, light up, hard down, and then hard down, light up, and then light up. Cool? Everybody with me? Give me a thumbs up if you are. I think we've earned ourselves a little break. Do a little stretch. So much learning. The end is near. Okay. So, let's just do one little go through of everything we've learned so far. Let's do a little sentence, shall we? Let's do the quick brown fox. So, when we do the quick brown fox, you're going to go line up, hard down, And it should look something like that. Something like that. Probably not exactly, but you get the idea. And once we get to flex writing, this will come into play a lot, because when you're doing it with a pencil, you'll get the idea that you gotta press down in order to get the tines to splay just enough, so that way that when you drag the pen down, that it will make what's called a swell. We'll get into that tomorrow. So tomorrow. We will be doing flex writing. Okay, so if you don't have one right now, I would highly encourage everyone to get some sort of flexible pen. I will be using the Noodler's Nib Creeper. So if you guys have a Noodler's Nib Creeper, you will be able to follow along. So stay tuned until then. Alright then. So that is all I've got for today. I want to thank you all for watching. I hope that you guys enjoyed this one. I hope that you learned something. Please share this video with your friends. Follow me on social media. Like, comment, subscribe. Ring the little bell. Make sure it's set to all, so when I upload new content, YouTube notifying you. And thank you for subscribing. You are the reason that I do this. So thank you all. And I will be back very soon with another video. So take care until then. Okay, love you, bye. Have a great day. Okay, love you, bye.